January 8th, 2022. I just watched Linda had back to back, but there was a thematic that ran through the vein of the atomic timing for the day. It's just situations that I get caught up in. So I'm sitting on the couch and she puts on Blue Bloods because she loves Blue Bloods. I take it with a grain of salt. I like it a lot better than I like SVU. I can't watch SVU. I can't watch that Law and Order crap. It is the amount of heinous crimes and like the sexual assaults that they put on as if it's acceptable television. I can't. I don't want to delve that deep into the messed up machine and how it's signaling track to other humans. But this particular Blue Bloods, it was an episode. Now I know that there's TV producer land and parallel dimension between the relationship of the Reagans. I know why they're called the Reagans. Has to do with the Executive Kiddo Club I was fitness tested for when I was little in Lloyd Harbor, based on relationships of other parents and so on and so forth in the district with the country during the Reagan administration. And now there's some Romer affiliation, which Reagan Romer, it's an easy jump cognitively from there. It just so happens that Danny Reagan looks like a more handsome version of my ex-husband. Of course, it's Donnie Wahlberg from New Kids on the Block. Like, oh my god, teen heartthrob sensation when I was little. For one of the first, they opened for Tiffany. The first concert I'd ever been to. I went to a Tiffany concert with some girls from school, and like New Kids on the Block opened, but I didn't know how a concert worked. But they were the first. They were the opening act, so they were really the first musicians I ever saw live. So that's Donnie Wahlberg, who they call Danny, which is my second son, which is the one that kind of sort of but not really looks like Jay, and but my son doesn't act like Jay whatsoever. And then of course you've got Jamie Reagan, which is a spoof on Alexander James's name. They took Jamie. And he's Benjamin in real life. Looks like Ben. I mean, a nicer nose than my son Benjamin, the actor, has. I don't know his name. But he, personality-wise, they cloned my son for actor. Like, they got doppelganger, body double down. I mean, he stands like my son. He walks, I mean, he even, just the way he talks, like the whole personification is my son Benjamin. And that's the character they casted in Blue Bloods for Jamie. Then, of course, when I'm not all beat up and being electrified in a health situation that is extremely dangerous and really hard to explain, I, for Benjamin's entire life and Alexander and Daniel's life, looked more like Jamie Reagan's, what becomes his wife. I mean, who's an absolute beautiful actress. I think she's much more beautiful than I am. But she has my personality, which gets kind of hard to explain because they paired her with my son, but it's just if you take a husband-wife relation out of it, even as just partners, it's how my son and my relationship was before they got married, before they started dating. If you take that natural transition for a movie to go based on age because Ben's only 20 years younger than I am. So I always say he's the little daddy because he didn't grow up around Jason. He only got to see Jason on the weekends. But then Linda transitioned from that particular Blue Bloods. But the relationship again between her and Ben and Jamie is like Ben's very standoffish, not very affectionate by nature. Not because I raised him that way, just it's how he was wired into this, or hardwired into this system, and he's maintained his own solidarity, and like he's just different. He's a cosmic spirit. He's not a human radio station dial change. I mean, it's hard to explain to humans. But anyway, so he's more tethered. He's tethered differently from spiritual realm, and like a deep, just like the root system of an oak when it first starts out is different than that of 1,000-year-old sequoia from the other coast. So anyway, and then we have a saying in our family, I don't know where it came from, I think it might have been like cosmic training in a way of timeless masterpieces that you can't explain, for multiple reasons. Just like I met one of my sons in 2001, I think, 2001. He came with a special leather-bound something or other, my picture on it, and some language or characters I couldn't read. I wanted to go home with him then, wherever home was that he was from. I didn't want to have to journey this route at all. But in TV producer land, there was a come hell or high water. I don't really have much of a choice. I brought 4 bodies into this mess in hell through my high water, my body cavity, and those are the only 4 lives I'm looking after, and trying not to get into trouble myself while I try to set some stuff straight. So that happened. So I watched it. It's not a movie I would normally watch. It was about bank robbers, which again, but the interesting part for Jeff Bridges, I said I would give, because he's my kind of, like there's Donald Sutherland in Pride and Prejudice. He's like one of my rescue dads that I love dearly, and his character for that cast. Then I have a West Texan dad, which is Jeff Bridges. Then there was something called a Major Ranger. He's one of those Death Eaters. They say DEA on the thing. He was on that Blue Bloods episode from today, working with Danny, which is what the cast character's name is, which is a parallel dimension, I'm assuming, for Jay, because I didn't follow Jay's career based on what happened early in our lives. It was divorce and easier to just be cut off, so this way I could raise the boys without having to bring up the subject of how I got hurt the first time. So that happened. But I did enjoy, I did enjoy the West Texas, the fact that they had a horse at the convenience store, I thought that was just one of the coolest possibilities. But then the scene got ruined because it was like the old, like, getaway car, like, used car Cadillac on one side, and then, like, the new GTA lime green, perfect body car with all the problem children at the same gas station. And I'm like, I really like the horse. I'm not gonna lie, but I get it there. And then I was laughing halfway through. I got the joke. I don't know. Lynn's not too sharp. But it was, I got the money laundering scheme right away with, they robbed a bank, they went to a casino, they passed it through, they got some chips, they spent some time on the floor, and then they got clean money out, so it couldn't be traceable. Yeah, I got the psychology of that schematic, that not that I would ever duplicate it, but then I'm watching, and there was used car dealership, which I always look at used car dealerships like used car dealerships, like you can't afford a new car because the getting is so poor in New York for my kind. And so, but then I looked at it through a West Texas movie filter, and all of a sudden, based on the money laundering schematic and being in that type of old western or new western, whatever, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, right, so now it becomes not a used car dealership, it becomes like a getaway car dealership if you're out robbing things. I was like, now that's an interesting way to look at them. Because I never thought of looking at used car dealerships that way before, but I'm like, a used car dealership as a getaway vehicle. That is definitely something I never would have, if I hadn't watched that movie and been in that mind frame, that psychological mind frame. I wouldn't have put those two together, which is the power of the cinema or the picture or the television. But it's also the danger in it as well. But I don't know. I mean, again, whenever I see Jamie in his, I think of Ben, my first son, and I'm just like, I'm proud to just sit in the living room watching him because I don't really get to see him in action in the real world because, whatever, after everything was lost due to the second set of tails that someone grew me that I can't seem to shake. So, I just was saying to Lynn today, I'm like, I just love watching this actor play Ben. I do. Because it is so, it's just him. It's just his appearance in New York. I gave him a hybrid lifestyle and a start. So whatever's growing here knows he's not a threat. He's not into tracking and causing trouble. But, and I was confronted at a party once. They didn't really speak English well. I don't speak Spanish at all. And they came up and they tested me for sure. Ben didn't really know what was going on. I didn't really know what was going on, but it was a birthday party that I had a friend Xavier. So I don't get to spend nearly as much time as I would like with my son. But that's because of the humans. Their psychology is off. I do remember somebody said once upon a time that the psychology of each city is different. The psychology of the inner workings of the city are different. The people are different. The characters, the set, the storyline, the management. And then there's layover of other joint forces that have to move within and rely on certain bunches being able to tell a story correct. And each character, no matter how the makeup changes. That's what I find is really difficult. I never had an arrest record. Never was a criminal. Never was an arrest record. Never anything, not even close. Until just recently. For some reason, they came at me. Now, I've had domestic violence of the people against me, personally, hurt. So, my care, my personal care, my human rights have been violated more times than I could shake a stick at. But I guess they couldn't get through certain channels in order to have me hauled off and arrested. So they went through inner white family circle channels between playing Lou, off Jason, off Tia Frew, to have me arrested for something I didn't even do. I broke a door. That's it. The rest of it's all fabricated by Tia Frew. Again. He's the type of tale that should have never been allowed within 100 feet of me. But yet, the land care here is so poor that it's just like, I'd say the Wild Wild West, but it's even worse than that. Star 1978, Star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It is Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken. And I'm in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 13661. It just recently did something. I don't know if it was the night that they stuck me in a prison. Because now, apparently, I mean, it's not... it's a prison, a night I spent, but I don't even know why. I broke a door trying to get into my son, who had a drug addict on the other side of the door, who locked my son in and was high as a kite, but yet I got thrown in jail. I really don't get how that works, but whatever. This is New York, and this is the craziness that that I'm, like, can't get away from. So now I don't know how that changes things. It doesn't change anything for me. I mean, I'm still the same person. I'm still an innocent victim here. But it changes something on a linguistical database file, which gives somebody else some advantage. I'm almost can guarantee at this point. I just don't know who, and I don't know for what purpose. And I don't know who's taking advantage of the system again to punish more kids like me. It's a really horrible situation in psychology to be stuck within.